All right, so let's get into our health and wellness. We do have Angela Day on the line. Today we're talking about what she calls the ABCs of just working on our mental well-being on the regular so that we're able to show up for life, man. It's one thing to be fit physically, right? And then you find that you haven't really strike or stroke. You haven't really struck a balance with clinical psychologist Angela Day. And today we really are getting into the daily routine that help us solve our individual challenges as well as get on top of our mental health. Good morning, Angela.
Good morning, Puleng, and hello to everyone getting ready for the weekend. I'm
Mm,
so happy to be here with Out and About to talk about something that I know that we all care about, but don't always prioritize, and that's our mental wellness. Yeah.
mm. Okay. I like what you call the ABC because I mean you break it down in the most unburdened way, because I think the reason why we get overwhelmed, we feel burdened by our thoughts, things that are happening to us, and also just trying to always find the meaning. What does that mean? What does it say about me? Who am I? Where do I fit into all of this?
Well, I know that we're all familiar with our skincare routines. You know, that skincare routine of like cleanse, tones, moisturize, and then sunscreen, right?
Mm,
So, but what if we treated our minds with the same gentle daily care that we did our skincare?
mm,
Because just like glowing skin, a calm mind isn't built in a day, right? It's
mm,
shaped by small, consistent habits. And so today I'd love to share the ABCs of a simple, doable mental wellness routine.
mm-hmm,
No pressure, no perfection,
mm.
just practical ways to feel a little bit lighter, a little bit more grounded, even on the tough days.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into them.
Okay, well, the ABCs as I see them is A for awareness, B for balance, and C for connection.
Mm-hmm.
Got that?
Yes.
A for awareness, so start by checking in with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just 1 minute a day. We're talking simple stuff, you know?
Mm,
How am I really feeling today? No
mm,
judgment, just noticing. That small pause is just a first step to understanding your emotional rhythm.
mm,
And then balance. Balance isn't always about doing it all, huh?
mm,
It's about doing what nourishes you. So prioritize sleep, gentle movement, moments of joy, even 5 minutes of stretching or just sipping tea mindfully, being
mm,
focused, being present, counts as balance.
mm-hmm.
And then C for connection. So reach out even when you don't feel like it, right? A text, a call, something quick saying, I'm thinking of you, to someone that you care about. Connection is one of the most powerful forms of emotional care that we can do. Yeah.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah. So, okay. So if
Yeah.
we were to take it back to like
Yeah.
skincare, if we say cleansing, cleansing is like letting go of your daily stress, like
Mm,
when we journal, we breathe, we name our emotions. Moisturizing would be something like daily self-care. When you go into gratitude, when we do movement, it doesn't have to be like big movement. You can work up to those things, but just getting the body moving, a walk, focusing on small joys. And then the sunscreen part of it would be similar to like if we were to focus on the protective boundaries of being self-aware. So that creates your emotional shield. So, we look at a simplicity of mental health programs like that. And you wouldn't skip your moisturizer just because your skin had a breakout.
mm,
So don't skip self-care because you're having a hard day, which we sometimes do. We stop focusing when we starting feeling overwhelmed, but that's especially when we need to start to go back into our routine. And the more you do a routine is the more you'll feel out of sorts when you're not doing that routine. Yeah.
mm. Okay. Um, I think because of just how overwhelming the responsibilities can be of a job, and when you get home, there's still those separate responsibilities, and you're just like, I just want to sleep. So, when do I check in with myself? Is it just before I get out of bed, or just before I go to work?
I don't know if sometimes your listeners have an alarm that wakes them up. Um, but that's one thing. If you do have an alarm that wakes you up, maybe something that wakes you up gently, something that inspires you, something that makes you feel good. There's so many options out. Um, if you don't use something like that and you do wake up naturally, then maybe even before you open your eyes is the first moment that you recognize consciousness. You kind of start to frame what kind of day do you want. You start with the beginning, you start with the end in mind. So before you even open your eyes, you just start to envision today is going to be a great day. And then you fill it in working backwards. Visualization is an extremely powerful tool. And so even if there are parts of your day that are not aligned with what you are envisioning, if you have a strong vision, you find that you don't focus on the bad things that are happening because you are fairly directed and intentional on the way that you want to feel. So therefore, the way you show up with things that are occurring around you, you have a different sensitivity to them. You create more space. Yeah, and then sleep, eh? You just talked about when you get home from work sometimes and you're just tired. Um, Sleep is an extremely important part of mental health. Without proper sleep, our brains really start to shut down. And the studies are showing that we really process all the chemicals, all the thoughts that are happening within our brains during sleep. So there's so much study out on sleep right now and how important it is. Yeah.
So, what are the noticeable changes that I will start to see, Angela, once I start practicing these steps daily?
Well, I think, it's a combination of things. Those are the ones that we are in control of and that we can do for ourselves. I think maybe that's an important distinction. You start to see what am I in control of, and hopefully you'll start to also pay attention to what you're not in control of. And thus, the more time we spend on the things that we are out of control of, we feel out of control. And the more we spend time on the things that are within our control, is the more grounded we feel, the more safe we feel, the better judgment we make, the better boundaries around our capacity that we create, and thus an outcome should be better relationships and a better quality of life.
But then, would you say this is a one size fits all approach? If not, how do we then adjust based on our own individual needs?
Well, you don't have to fix your feelings. You just have to notice them. And that's where the individual healing begins. It's a journey, it's not a destination. And thus, we're talking about routines, and human beings love ritual. We are creatures of ritual. And we also like to feel safe. So again, not necessarily a one size fits all, but as human beings, I think we can all reflect on I am a better person. I can show up with more intentional thoughts when I feel safe. So the idea is within each of our own environment, how can we connect with that sense of groundedness, that sense of feeling safe, and the journey of getting to know yourself, honor yourself, and thus that allows you more capacity to show up for others and other things that you'd like to enjoy, again, to enhance this quality of life. Yeah.
Thank you so much for those tips. That's what we have on our health and wellness today with my guest, Angela Dane. We're just looking at what she calls the ABCs, and it's okay. I don't think there is a set time for you to get to what you feel has been progress when it comes to these things. It's really just about trying. And there was clinical psychologist Angela. Thank you so much. All right. And it is now 10:30 Central African time. We're chatting about how to create a routine where you check in with yourself about your mental state. And that also just kind of also contributes to the emotional side of things as well. Hey, as you get older, you learn so many things about yourself in life. And that doesn't mean you are wrong. You're on the wrong track. It's A-okay. Let us take a break. We will continue shortly.
From dusk till dawn, Channel Africa Radio is your soundtrack to life.